Sisterhood, brotherhood, someday I do believe. From the mill of Pittsburgh steel to the Iron Range, way out west to the land of desert sage, cowboy blues, mutton stew, California sun.
Good morning and welcome to Connections Radio Show, where we talk about ideas that matter. I'm glad you've made the connection and are with us today. I'm Lori Fitz, your host. And the goal of our show is to explore a wide range of topics that challenge us to see ourselves, our community, and the world around us in ways that get us thinking, get us talking, get us listening to good music, and perhaps inspired or challenged to do just a bit more because we've made the connection. Our topic today is on music making a difference. And we'll be exploring this topic with Larry Long. Larry Long is a singer-songwriter, spoken word poet, educator, activist, and storyteller. He's well-traveled across the world, and wherever he goes, he celebrates people and places in song. Welcome, Larry.
Welcome. Good to be here.
I'm so glad. Yes, we sort of did this show together, so you can welcome me too. We've been talking about. So
Thanks for coming in.
He's sort of a co-producer of this show. So I'm glad I showed up today and helping Larry with his show. And we also have Rick Bernardo, who is a musician, an ethicist, teacher, a community advocate, especially for health programs.
Yeah, and very aware. And what's the show again?
Yes. Yeah.
So,
It's Larry's show. Ask Larry.
Larry Long. And by the way, that was American Hymn from his album we're going to talk about today, Run for Freedom. But anyway, we also have Scott Herold,
hi,
sir, and CEO of Rock the Cause Records, who works with Larry and multi-generations on multi-forms of music and production.
Yes, I do. Good morning, everyone. My name is Scott Herold. I'm the CEO and founder of Rock the Cause Records. We are a Minneapolis, St. Paul-based record company. We are one of the few full-time nonprofit record labels in the world. We are celebrating our 16th year on July 27th.
That was me clapping.
That makes me a survivor of the music industry.
And you also do other work. With kids that I just love.
Yeah, I do a lot of work with underserved and marginalized populations of youth, but really Rock the Cause Records exists to give voice to the underserved and the undervoiced, and give those artists that the major labels or the major independents might not necessarily give a voice to. Right. In fact, one of the things that I'll be back to talk to you about, we just relaunched. Well, didn't relaunch. Relaunch is not a good word. We just launched a new imprint called Afro World, which will celebrate Afrocentric and indigenous sounds around the world. But I'm here today with my good friend Larry Long to talk about his fantastic new record, Run for Freedom, which I encourage everybody to go out to iTunes, Apple, Amazon, wherever you listen to music, and discover Larry Long, Run for Freedom.
I re-listened to every song yesterday afternoon.
Did you?
And I fell in love with them in a different way. I mean, the first time I listened to it, it's like, this is really good. The second time, you fall in love.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
It felt okay.
Yeah. I love that. I love that song.
Yeah.
I do have a favorite. That is my favorite, I have to say. Yeah. Although the other ones are so important. Yeah. But that one is just a fun song about being in love and falling in love that I just am very charmed by. Because I feel okay. So Minnesotan.
And let me just chime in. I've heard it a number of times now. I hadn't heard that album before. I've heard Larry's music, but the production is so lusciously beautiful. It's not too anything, and it's just perfect. It's not too busy. It's not too this. You've got other musicians, stellar with you that chime in
Claudia
just the right place.
Schmidt singing and Billy Peterson on bass and Peter Strushko.
Producer, I saw that. And I saw Prudence Johnson.
Right. Ginger Commodore.
I saw her. Well, I heard her. I didn't see her. Yeah. Thanks.
It's good stuff. It's a classic album of working class ballads and social justice anthems, and it is available now on all digital platforms worldwide. And Larry Long has done this in association. So tell me about what that means, your partnership.
Well, Larry, and I'll let Larry speak to this too. Larry and I have worked on a number of projects. I mean, we're 5 or 6 projects deep now. And the first project that we ever did together was a song called No More Pipeline Blues, which features the voices of Indigenous women along with Bonnie Raitt, Indigo Girls, etc. But Larry and we really started looking at Larry's catalog of music. And to me, Larry's one of those troubadours, those last living great folk musicians that's out there, and his music should be shared with the world and it should be cataloged. And over the years, Larry's been with a number of much bigger labels than mine. He's been with Concord Music and Smithsonian, etc. But this is really what I'm trying to do with this, is archive Larry's music and make sure that it's available for future generations, because Larry's one of those guys that, in the realm of folk music, Larry wasn't always out in a tour bus going from concert hall talking about community organizing. Larry was in the back of a bus on his way from city to city doing community organizing,
doing it,
with that same spirit of Pete Seeger and Joan Baez and Woody Guthrie. So, the partnership is really, it's Rock the Cause Records in association with Larry Long Music, which is Larry's music company, because it's important for Larry to have that identity out there as well, that he also has his own music company. So it's a partnership.
You bring up Smithsonian, and I love this quote from the Smithsonian Folkways. Telling the stories of hardworking people in a way that highlights the courage, deep personal experiences, and heroism found in their lives is a tradition for which Woody Guthrie is famous and for which Larry Long continues. So tell me about your music company, the Larry Long, that you want to make sure, is out there.
You're looking at it.
Yeah, okay, there we go. I understand what it's like to be a one-woman show in terms of, I ran a business of my own for 15 years, and it did get a little schizophrenic at times, but, I had some management issues I had to deal with myself, but all good. You just have to give a talking to every once in a while, and then inspire in other times, and work hard for the boss, me.
Yes.
You do that too.
Yes, that's the major personnel issue when you,
yes.
when you're the person rowing the boat, is making sure that you show up.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's why I guess Larry's happy that we all did show up today. But with that, you have been doing this for many years. Tell me about the American hymn that we heard at the beginning of this, and why that song is particularly important to you, and what it comes out of.
Well, Woody Guthrie wrote "This Land Is Your Land" as a response to Irving Berlin's song "God Bless America." Mm-hmm. And in many ways, I wrote the American hymn in response to both those songs. Mm-hmm. In response to Woody's song, I just wanted to make a different sort of statement or question about
whose land is it,
whose land this is, and also a relationship, to the land, to give acknowledgement to both the new immigrants and the indigenous populations. So it was my reflection on the love of this place where I was born.
Tell me about some of the folks that you wanted to highlight in this song, and why they were important, why you chose who you have show up in this song. You have a variety of immigrants. You have the Iron Range.
Right.
Tell me about that.
Well, I mean, it's our country. It's our place. So I was trying to actually identify cities and regions that's part of the United States of America, mm-hmm. That we call home. There's a little bit of humor in there too. On the verse that we just played, actually, it was the second verse that opened the show, and there's a bit of bantering between cattle ranchers and sheep herders.
Sheep herders. The sheep eat the grass right from the roots, and the ranchers never like that.
There's a line called "Cowboy Blues Mutton Stew," California Sun. That's kind of a humorous
reference that
reference
some
that
will
only
pick up.
a few people get.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So as you started your journey in the 80s, right? This is
70s,
late 70s, because
mid
we'll talk.
70s,
Okay, mid 70s.
early 70s.
There we go. So you were right after the 60s. You entered the world of the 70s. And I know by 78, we're going to be talking about this in our next piece, the support for farmers and your relationship in DC and all of that. Tell me about you're working on your memoir right now.
Right, I am.
And I think we've had some conversations where there's a sense of trajectory that you see. There's a sense of storyline, pulling it all together. Tell me about the then and now, the trajectory that you see.
I have a very large archives. I've written over 1,000 songs with communities all over the United States through a program, Elder Wisdom Children's Song, and my archives have been accepted by the University of Minnesota, by the Anderson Library. And on my 75th birthday, there's going to be a big celebration of this work. And so all these digital interviews with elders from all over the United States are going to be celebrated within these archives. And so I'm trying to pull all of this together right now. And then also I'm writing a memoir. It's not so much about me, it's about the people who've impacted my life and the organizing work that I've done that not many people know about. Because when you're successful at organizing, you become relatively anonymous. And that runs contrary to the dominant culture of an artist, because we're supposed to exploit our names and exploit what we do in order to make money, in order to become well-known and sell lots of records. But the work of a troubadour is the opposite of that. You really are trying to give voice to the people so their voices are heard and seen.
And the cause is heard.
Yeah, the cause has come out of core values, which is really empathy and love and compassion. And so therefore, one, it doesn't matter who you are. If it's your next door neighbor in need of your help, if you're a good neighbor, you're going to help them out. And that becomes, quote, the cause. But it's not, it's just simply being a good person and being a good community person and doing what you can to help others. So,
but song connects people. Song creates a different kind of awareness. It hopefully, in the work of a troubadour, inspires the goodness and reaffirms that the goodness is a good thing to do. Or,
songs are a spiritual entity that celebrate the physical realities that we live in, and so you can't reach and hold on to a song. You can listen to it, but it comes from being, from the spirit of the self. And most songwriters will tell you they don't know where the melodies come from. You just somehow catch them, or you make yourself available to them. And when one is involved with communities and those that are struggling for a basic livelihood, the spirit of those people begins to emerge, and you're able to catch those thoughts and those spirits by simply listening and honoring the dignity of ordinary people. If that makes sense.
It does make sense, and it requires, I think, the empathy to create that connection before the song can even be written or given to you, or maybe it doesn't. Maybe the spirit of just being with someone allows that sensibility of what the music can be.
Yeah.
And it comes from somewhere.
American Hymn was written because of my love of this place that I call home, and the people that have been so gracious and opened their homes up to us. Because when I was traveling around the country, I hopped freight trains and I hitchhiked and I did all that stuff. And I was brought into people's homes by the good graces. I traveled around the country with a fiddle player named Fiddlin' Pete, and we were taken in by people all over this country, like in Winfield, Kansas, we stayed with Fred and Ruby Haynes for 3 months. And then we were down in, in Oklahoma and taken in. And so it's really, the songs are a way to give thanks to these people who've been so generous to us.
And so they become a Thanksgiving.
Totally.
Allowing that special connection of America and the roots of the culture and the values from place to place.
And not in an abstract way, it's very personal. There's faces and names behind all the lyrics that I see. So it's not it's not writing for, but really celebrating with others.
And my friend Scotty Harold, CEO of Rock the Cause, you're seeing this also as a way, as you said earlier, to hold on to some of this history in a special way that allows the next generation to celebrate it as well.
Absolutely. The old saying that everything old is new again. And, true. I mean, for me, we live in a time where something will happen, a world event will happen, something shocking will happen, or we'll discover a piece of art or music and we're like, oh my gosh, that's so new. Have you heard that? Nothing is new under the sun. But it's how you rediscover it, how you understand the history behind the discovery, and how you understand what's happening in the moment and how it got here. Something I work with my students with all the time. I say, you think certain incidents are isolated, that we have certain isolated incidents on a trajectory of time. Nothing's isolated. It's all connected. There is depth to all of this that connects from one generation to one timeline to the next. And it's very important for me that audiences that we bring music to, but especially those that are of the younger generation, to understand that there is more than just this moment. I mean, live in the moment, live your life, live your moment, have a great time, feel the passion, the creativity, but understand there is depth to this moment and where this moment comes from. And Larry is one of those people that's able to continue to deliver that kind of legacy of a moment in time in music history where social activism and community organizing was very, very important.
I mean, this is what brought Scott and I together. It was because I'm a singer, I'm an educator, organizer, but as an educator, I've worked in schools throughout the United States and around the world in the same way that Scott is working with students. So what brought us together are the shared values of intergenerational work. And the reason for the memoir is really, it's important for everybody to get their stories told and down, because if we don't, then what foundation will the next generation have to come up to learn from? There's oral history and written history. And what we're doing right now with the radio is oral history. But if we transcribe these words that we're speaking now, it becomes written. And therefore, we can select certain points of wisdom that then can be passed on to those coming up. And I think that's what Scott's talking about.
Absolutely. It's heritage. It's the heritage of things. It's understanding where the roots come from is very important, and especially those who are voiceless. I work with a lot of underserved and historically marginalized young people every day, and it's important for me to understand, and it's important for them. It's especially important for them to understand where the roots of things come from.
It's also the appreciation of the oral history that you have, and it's such important in terms of the indigenous in our country, that's how history was passed down. That's how learnings happened, was understanding the through line of the oral history.
And it's true with the immigrant. My roots come out of Scotland and Ireland, and there's an oral history within those cultures. I mean, the role of the troubadour is it's actually to build bridges, between all the different nations of people that call this place home. And so, like, the indigenous reality of the original people, the First Nation people here, actually are very similar to those of the indigenous traditions that come out of Ireland and Scotland and other places. And we so often divide ourselves around racial lines, black, brown, white, red folk. And we focus on those racial divisions when in fact, what we're really talking about is class.
Economic.
Yes.
Talking about economic struggle and the poor white communities, the tenant farmers shared so much in common with the tenant farmers from the African American communities of the South post-slavery.
And the Irish with the indentured servants.
Exactly. And so really it's to draw those bridges or those threads to identify that, you have the economic class, which is the minority, dominating the majority of the people, essentially oppressing us all. Yeah. And they've been very successful in dividing us around racial lines.
So that we don't look at the other. Let's have the culture wars.
And the real issue is economic. And so it's like, how do we get rid of the race baiting and the race hatred in order to bring together people around the common needs of our children and the generations yet to come?
Absolutely. And with that, we'll go to break, listening a little bit more to the American hymn. We have that for all the intros and outros.
Oh, great.
So we'll hear a little bit about the American, and then we're going to come back and we're going to, again, listen at the top to the American hymn, but then we're going to explore another song. And we're going to be talking about farmers and the work that you've done with them. So we'll be right back after some commercials.
Italy, Germany, Africa we come, Vietnam by sea and land, into your arms we run, refugee filled with dreams, laying our burdens down, upon your soul we have toiled, from town to town, America.
The Mary T. family of companies serves seniors and people with a wide range of disabilities. We provide home health care, hospice services, and accessible rental housing. This is Mary T., and we'd like you to join us. We're hiring direct care professionals, CNAs, nurses, and other support services. Our mission is to provide quality, personalized services to meet the unique and evolving needs of the people that we serve. Join a Minnesota family-owned company that was founded on a history of care. Apply today at marytinc.com/careers.
This message is for all of you sitting in the passenger seat. And apologies if it gets a little uncomfortable, but how does it feel to be at the mercy of someone who thinks a random text is more important than your life? Someone who takes their eyes off the road while speeding along in a 3-ton hunk of steel. Freaky, right? Well, why not just ask them to stop? Or better yet, volunteer to text for them. It might be a little awkward, but believe me, you'll live.
Learn more at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
No matter if you're eating out or cooking something at home, EatLocalMinnesota.com has you covered with a list of locally owned restaurants and food purveyors. Locally owned Vinaigrette has been offering the finest olive oil and vinegar since 2009. Reintroduce yourself to all the many flavors by tasting before you buy. From darker white balsamic to cold-pressed extra virgin olive oil from all over the world, there is something for everyone. Vinaigrette, located at 50th and Xerxes in Minneapolis, or at vinaigrettemn.com. The Park Tavern is your go-to destination for fun. Enjoy the fantastic food like their pizzas, burgers, and sandwiches, the best bowling in Minnesota, their wildly popular outdoor patio, great drink specials, all the big games on their numerous screens, and it's the perfect place for your next private event, even large gatherings for over 200. The Park Tavern is your go-to destination for everyone. Have fun at the Park Tavern, Louisiana Avenue, north of Highway 7 in St. Louis Park.
I love my Toyota vehicles, so when it's time for me to get my service done, there's only one place I go, Rudy Luther Toyota. They know Toyotas inside and out. It starts with them checking your alignment and tire treads with their Hunter Quick Check Drive inspection service. Oil changes, tires, batteries, wipers, no matter what you need done, they can help you with reliable Toyota parts and the best service team in Minnesota. Check out their website, RudyLutherToyota.com, for service and part specials just for Toyota vehicles. Get your Toyota serviced at Rudy Luther Toyota, 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
I'm Candy Brothel.
I'm Elizabeth Sullivan.
And I'm Kelly Wagner.
Energize yourself with AM 950's Sunday Shine Radio from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Sunday Shine Radio radiates wellness, consciousness, and curiosity.
Join me, Candy Brothel, for Green Tea Conversations at 10 a.m.
Exploring Sovereignty with Elizabeth at 11 a.m.
And the Being Curious Show at noon.
Our lineup focuses on igniting your own self-discovery and personal wellness.
Tune in every Sunday for Sunday Shine Radio from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
And let us guide you on an inspirational journey each week.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. We're heading into July and the heart of summer. The backyard barbecues over Independence Day will bring a lot of family and friends over to the house, and your kids will spend a lot of time outdoors on the sports fields and in the backyard. But that also means your guests are going to be spilling the potato salad, and your kids are going to be tracking in who knows what from their outdoor explorations or off the sports fields. July is National Carpet Cleaning Month, and because of that, check out this amazing deal Zero Res has going. Zero Res is offering 3 rooms starting at just $129 and get a 4th room free. It's also the perfect time of year to get your air ducts cleaned this month and take 20% off any air duct cleaning. Call 952-ZERO-RES or go to ZeroResMinnesota.com and ask for the AM 950 special. Again, don't wait. Book your appointment today. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
Potawatomi, Ojibwe too, Hopi, Cheyenne, Navajo. Promises unfulfilled, still driving them out of their home.
Welcome back to Connections Radio Show. I jumped in a little bit earlier there. It was a lovely singing, choral singing, sort of a cappella singing. Well, not a cappella, but no words at the beginning.
Yeah.
With,
what is that?
With American Hymn. And for those just joining, it was a continuation of the song American Hymn. And then we were able to honor the indigenous parts of our country with the American Hymn. You're listening to Connections Radio Show, where we talk about ideas that matter. Our show today is about music making a difference. And we're exploring the topic with Larry Long, who is a singer-songwriter, spoken word poet, educator, activist, storyteller. He's well-traveled across the world, and he brings each place a celebration of song. And we also have Rick Bernardo, my co-host.
Hello.
And longtime friends with Scott Harold.
Hello.
And
hi. Scott Harold, CEO of Rock the Cause Records and many hats.
Yes.
Yeah, music industry survivor is my new title.
Yeah, that's new cards coming. Yes.
And I do want to make sure that we get websites out there, just so that everyone knows. If you want to learn more, I have no control of the show, so no worries. But if you want to know more about Larry Long, as well as Rock the Cause, we have LarryLong.org, and then I Rock the Cause. .org is the Rock the Cause music website.
The website, yes.
Wonderful music. We're thinking about America in a new way, or maybe in a more important way, or maybe it's not new at all. I'm hoping it's not new. It's our collectivism. Sometimes there's a media reality of our America.
Perhaps a more authentic way.
There we go.
Yeah.
A more authentic way of looking at our America. And one of the things that I think makes America who we are today is our farms and how we feed our people and how we celebrate the earth and growing things. And you spent some time with farmers early on when there was lots of challenges going on. share with me your early experiences back in the 70s with the farmers and the farmer movement.
I was active in the power line movement
Mhm.
to stop a high voltage power line through central Minnesota. And that's when I met Senator Paul Wellstone when he was a professor at Macalester College. And we were both out there singing for farmers trying to stop this high voltage power line that extended all the way from like Fargo to Delano. And then there was a farmer named Virgil Fuchs. I actually wrote a song called Pope County Blues, which will be re-released soon, actually, in partnership with Scott on another collection. But anyway, there was a farmer named Virgil Fuchs who was active in the power line struggle and was wanting to build a coalition with other farmers dealing with other issues of land. And so Virgil Fuchs took me out to Appleton, Minnesota, where I got connected with the American agriculture movement, and that was in the late 1970s, and that was when the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan, and President Carter at the time slapped a grain embargo on Russia, and by doing so, the farm economy went belly up.
Mhm.
And because they lost their market, to the Soviet Union, and the banks called in their loans, and so there were massive farm foreclosures throughout the wheat belt and across into Minnesota. It also affected dairy producers in Wisconsin. And so anyway, Virgil Fuchs took me to the strike office in Appleton. I sang some farm protest songs. And then I met a former governor of Minnesota named Elmer Benson.
Mm-hmm.
And Elmer Benson was the governor after the farmer labor governor, Floyd B. Olson. And then Elmer Benson, when he heard me sing, he said, "You remind me of Woody Guthrie and Pete Seeger." And I said, "How did you know them?" And then I found out that he was the former governor. And what to note about Elmer Benson is that when the lumberjacks went on strike in the Great Depression, he called out the National Guard, but he didn't call out the National Guard on the strikers. He called out the National Guard on the company. And the lumberjacks won their strike. And it was during that period of time that Woody Guthrie and Pete Seeger were coming through Minnesota singing on up into the Iron Range. And so from that, I ended up going on a tractorcade to Washington, D.C. That was 100 miles long when it arrived. Farmers from throughout the United States, Nebraska, Texas, Arizona, California, even Canada, came in to converge to try to put a stop to farm foreclosures.
Now, farm foreclosures have an interesting history. You were sharing with me earlier about in the 20s, during the Depression or going into the Depression,
right?
How farmers saved each other's farm.
Correct. There's been, it was during the farm holiday movement of the Great Depression. And one of their tactics was a penny sale where neighbors would gather in large numbers at the auction of the farm and bid very low prices on the farm and its contents while intimidating others who were coming in to buy the farms for cheap to exploit their loss. And they successfully stopped farm foreclosures. And sometimes those bakers that came in, the women would entice these people into the barns.
The bankers,
the bankers into the barn, and what they do, they would tie them up and prevented them from bidding. And so neighbors would do the bids, and that's what a penny sale. They'd buy the farm back for their neighbor for like a penny or two. When the auction was done, they would give the farm back to the farmer being foreclosed on.
With that, what I'd love to do is have the full song be played, And that'll end our segment. And then we'll come back in the next segment and share a little bit more about the penny sale as well as the next one. But I'd love to have the full.
Can I add one comment?
Yeah, yes, please.
Is that the penny sale was replicated in the early 1980s by people involved in the Land Stewardship Project and other farm organizations, that they replicated the penny sale to try to stop our foreclosure.
Well, I do have a follow-up question with that. Were women enticing bankers into the barn in the 80s as well?
I would hope so.
I like that thought. All
right.
And with that, we'll go to Grandma's penny sale. Obviously, it wasn't Grandma that was taking him out to the barn, but someone was.
Yes.
All right. So we'll listen. We'll listen to the full song.
It's a song.
Grandma was born and raised on a farm in Iowa. When I was young, she would pray for those who work the soil. Oldest one of 7 kids, helped her ma raise each of them, shucking corn and slapping pigs, chickens in the yard. Fetching water from the well, 2 5-gallon pails, carving out a well-worn trail to the kitchen door. Give a prayer tonight for the farmer. Give a word of thanks for their labor. Days of drought, sleet, and hail, Grandma would often tell me about the penny sale that saved the family farm. Friends and neighbors gathered round, buyers who came from town, and peacefully they stripped them down, naked in the barn. Upon a bale of hay they sat, nothing on but their hats. I can still hear my grandma laugh, speaking of those times. Give a prayer tonight for the farmer. Give a word of thanks for their labor. Standing by the auction man, taking bids on her land, Grandma looked down at her hands, drier than soil. A penny here, a nickel there, celebration filled the air. Grandma raised her eyes in prayer, thankful for that day. When the auctioneer was done, the country folk they had won. Without spilling any blood, they saved the family farm. Give a prayer tonight for the farmer. Give a word of thanks for their labor. And yesterday I read the news about a family farmer who was told that he might lose the title to his land. But just like this story told, neighbors came to his home and stopped it from being sold with a penny sale. Give a prayer tonight for the farmer. Give a word of thanks for their labor. when I laid the paper down. Thoughts of Grandma circled round, filled me with that peaceful sound of her voice again. Give a prayer tonight for the farmer. Give a prayer of thanks for their labor. Give a prayer tonight for the farmer.
Hi, this is Chad from AM 950. Snap Construction is arguably the most well-reviewed roofing, siding, window, and insulation contractor in the metro. Ryan is so excited about working with AM 950 and our listeners that he wants to help us grow.
This is Ryan, owner of Snap Construction. I was friends with Chad long before I started marketing with him. I was a bit skeptical of radio advertising before Chad convinced us to run ads. The advertising's been so successful, we want to help the station grow. We've absolutely loved working with the listeners of AM 950, and we all know how extremely important this radio station is to the community. To help AM 950 grow, Snap Construction will be putting up proceeds to assist the station in marketing on social media. Snap Construction encourages you to follow, engage, share, and interact on the AM 950 social media platforms. Together, we can all work to ensure AM 950 continues to thrive and grow in our communities. We stand by our work with a lifetime craftsmanship guarantee. For a free estimate or more information on our financing, call 612-333-SNAP or check us out online.
This is Elizabeth, the host of Exploring Sovereignty with Elizabeth. There are many pathways to sovereignty, and each week I'll speak with inspiring guests who share their own journey towards becoming free, curious, and consciously aware. Coming up on this week's show, we're in studio with Kim Witzik for part 2 of the conversation on her accidental advocacy and educating doctors and medical students. Join the conversation and explore your sovereignty every Sunday at 11 or wherever you get your podcasts.
Summer is going fast, but Next Chapter Booksellers has everything you need to keep up with your summer reading. From the hottest new titles to timeless classics, Next Chapter Booksellers has something for any taste. Their friendly staff are great at making recommendations for the perfect summer read for you or your loved ones. Plus, Next Chapter Booksellers has a wide variety of puzzles and games for those rainy days. So keep up with your summer reading at Next Chapter Booksellers off Snelling and Grand in St. Paul. More at nextchapterbooksellers.com.
Hi, this is Philip Anthony, the host of the Downright Upright Show, the place to go to hear out loud and proud what Minnesotans are thinking. I interview many interesting people and listen to their thoughts on how they plan to better our community and to hear their opinions on current events. Join us and get in on the conversation. You can listen to my podcast, The Downright Upright Show with Philip Anthony, wherever you listen to podcasts or at am950radio.com. So come and join me and continue being fantabulous.
End-of-life decisions are not easy to make. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Hospice Care. It's important to make sure that this difficult time is meaningful and comforting to you and your loved ones. Our hospice team provides an individualized program of physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical care so your loved one is comfortable and not in pain. At Mary T. Hospice, we understand that choosing the right hospice care provider can be overwhelming, but we're here to assist you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
Hey AM 950 listeners, my name is JP Darbogossian, and I'm the host of This Queer Book, Save My Life, the show where LGBTQ guests share the queer books that save their lives in conversation with the authors who wrote them. This Sunday, it's a crossover episode with the delightfully queer pop culture podcast, The Sewers of Paris with Matt Baum. I hope you queer folks and allies can join us as we find connection in this mysterious and beautiful queer world of ours. See you every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 83, tonight partly cloudy with a low around 62, and Saturday chance for thunderstorms with a high around 86. At Crooner's Supper Club, the entertainment doesn't stop when the show ends. Head over to Maggie's Lounge for some post-show drinks and great conversation. You'll love the relaxed and friendly atmosphere. That's Maggie's Lounge at Crooner's Supper Club, off Moore Lake and Highway 65. More at croonersloungemn.com.
Hopi, Cheyenne, Navajo. Promises unfulfilled, still driving them out of their home. Freedom, oh, freedom what does that mean? Like waves out on the ocean, crossing the deep blue sea. America, America, God shed her grace on thee. Sisterhood, brotherhood, today I do believe. America, America.
Welcome back to Connections Radio Show, where we talk about ideas that matter. And today, the ideas that matter are about authentic America and music that makes a difference. I should introduce everybody. I was so excited about asking a question. I was about to ask the question before. Oh, by the way, I should probably make sure everybody know who's here. Okay, I'm Lori Fitz, your host.
Hi, Lori.
Yes, we have Larry Long.
Welcome.
Thank you, Larry. Larry did co-produce the show with me today, so Larry's welcoming me here, which I feel very touched. Larry Long is a singer-songwriter, spoken word poet, educator, activist, storyteller. Rick Bernardo, my co-host, musician, ethicist, a community organizer for health, raising consciousness issues.
Different nonprofits. Yeah.
Different nonprofits. And then we've got, of course, our good friend, Scotty Harold.
Hello.
Who's been on several shows, and we continue to be excited about the shows that we do together with Rock the Cause.
Mm-hmm.
He's a record producer. Right now he's working with Larry as well as some other projects in remastering Larry Long's classics.
Yes, absolutely. And we have really a lot of new releases that we'll be putting out there worldwide of Larry Long's music, and really cataloging this enormous collection of music and stories that Larry has. So you can go to, if depending on what music service you use, you can go to Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, etc. Larry's music is there. Also, you can visit Larry Long's website, where he also has a music store there where you can actually buy physical product and digital download and stream as well. But yeah, it's Larry is one of those people that he in the spirit of Woody Guthrie, in the spirit of Joan Baez, Pete Seeger, combining music with activism in the folk art form, and just has a very timeless and relevant message in those songs that I think that will help people to remember the authenticity of who we are as a nation.
I also want to make mention, we had our first show with Larry on June 24th.
Mm-hmm.
You want to go back and listen to that show. I highly recommend it. You can go to am950radio.com, scroll down till you see the connections icon. You click on it and go to June 24th. It also gives some wonderful music to listen to, and stories to be told, and thoughts about how music can make a difference.
It's vital history that you'll hear too. And I just want to underscore, I haven't said a lot here, but the importance of music and all art forms, but as truth-telling, troubadours role. A lot of artists have in classical definitions of theology, a prophetic role. They get underneath things in another language, and they tell the truth in a way that speaks to hearts and souls and guts in a way that you can't with just normal talk.
Absolutely.
I also want to mention that, Larry, you're going to be doing some wonderful work on August 16th. It's going to be live at the Danish American Center. And tell us about Larry Long and Will Kier.
Kier.
Thank you. No J, because he's Danish, right?
Will Kier.
Got it.
Actually, Will Kier is he's a young jazz musician, and it's his last performance before he goes back to New York City for his second year at Juilliard School of Music. And actually, Billy Peterson, who I want to acknowledge, who plays on the Run for Freedom recording, actually, Billy connected me with Will Kier last summer, and he said, this would be a great opportunity to kind of do a fusion of folk jazz with Billy. And so we did a show last year, and then this year we're going to do it again, but just me and Will Kier. And I'm actually going to be reading the first 2 chapters of my memoir, and Will Kier is doing musical scoring beneath it. And then also he's going to be doing original compositions. And then we've been blessed this summer at our home to have two amazing guests, Cameron Ladiva Wright and Kashif, the healer, who's a spoken word poet, are going to be joining us as well. And Cameron is a very beloved young singer that comes out of the north side of Minneapolis. Cameron's mother is Tanya Hughes Kendrick, who sings with my American Roots Review Band. And so Cameron's going to be coming out singing in a very strong gospel tradition within the memoir. And then Kashif is going to be launching off with spoken word. So it's going to be like a one-off, unique sort of gathering. And it's going to be August 16th, Danish American Center on the River Road in the Longfellow community of Minneapolis.
And people are encouraged to come?
Of course. Yeah. They can go to the Danish American Center website and they can then acquire tickets. But to get tickets, they need to say, I am a guest of Larry Long. I am a guest.
So all thousands of people listening today are now guests of Larry Long.
But they got to pay.
Okay. Yeah. But you're still a guest. You're still a guest.
It's like a $30 ticket.
Oh,
very limited
well worth
seating.
It. Well worth it. Again, that's on August 16th. I also want to make sure I make a note of your website so folks can go and learn more about all the wonderful things that you do. That's larrylong.org. Also want to make sure irockthecause.org gets a wonderful plug. And I also, the question I had at the very top of the segment was, I love at the end of your American hymn, it goes from, I dream of sort of thing to now, I tell me the last line about I believe.
Today I do believe.
Today I do believe, which is
and that was
so heartwarming.
That was, well, thank you for noticing that. I also want to acknowledge Rick's comment about music too. It was spot on in terms of the tradition. And also you will notice the reference to both the male and female nature of the creator in the lyrics, which was with intentionality too. I remember when I recorded it, I had a few people say, you shouldn't have done that.
I'm glad you did.
But through the evolution of our consciousness of the divine and spirituality, it embraces both the male and female.
Well, the female is good to acknowledge. And thank you. Thank you for that voice.
Larry Long, Scott Harold, Lori, hi. Rick.
And thank you so much for being with us today and making the connection and taking in Larry's music. And we will be having Larry come back in August and yet exploring another song about the Mississippi. So join us back in August.
If you've made the decision to level your home and build new or to renovate, hire Better Futures Minnesota to take it apart by